Well, speaking of lions, we're taking a brief break from tracking our little leopard to talking about purple eye and her cubs because, of course, it is the topic on everybody's mind. So I was telling you about, it's sort of to catch up those who missed it. But I was talking about the fact that we knew when she gave birth because of that day that she was incredibly uncomfortable. And that day she was lying in this little ditch here, on her back, with her belly in the air, her enormous belly in the air. No sign of suckle marks, but definitely sort of clearly about to start lactating, or probably lactating already. And she was so uncomfortable, and she was rolling around and not, just uncomfortable lioness, licking all the signs that we've come to associate with a cat giving birth, or about to. Then, fast forward to a couple of weeks. Well, actually, no. Imagine Jamie driving this road day after day after day after day, trying to check where she had gone. And then, hilariously, it's not very funny to my mind, a couple of weeks later, this is where she was found. And it's such a perfect den spot for her. So just look at I'm just demonstrating the proximity of where we had her that day to where she ended up having the cubs. This is her old den. I'm not worried about going in here now because she's not going to bring the cubs back to the spot anymore. And what's so interesting about this is when she was first here, this grass was about this tall. So there was a barrier of grass. This has been flattened a fair amount by her movement and her lying down over here. And this is such a perfect little cave. It's a fallen tree, and the root systems have made this lovely little spot for her babies to have hidden in. And even though this is such a popular area for animals, they still wouldn't have found the cubs hidden underneath these roots. It's a cave. It's this perfect cave. And I find it quite special that we're actually able to come down here now. And although we missed a fair amount of her raising of the cubs, it's nice to imagine her down here, sheltered, shade, no problems, just her tiny little secret hidden underneath the roots of a tree. Nobody knew that this is where she was. She did a really good job hiding those little babies. Imagine the little fluff balls squirming about in there. Diana wants to know how long a lioness is in labor for. I imagine it really depends upon the situation. It, generally speaking, will not be as long or as difficult as natural human births tend to be, on average, just because of the fact that we, in order to walk upright, have changed, our pelvic shape has changed, and it makes our birthing process much, much more difficult. But for dogs, cats, anything like that, and they're not shaped obviously like hyenas, it's not too difficult of a process, typically, unless something's wrong, you've got some kind of breech birth or something like that. So I would say to have 3 cubs probably didn't take her much longer than a couple of hours, but I don't know, when do their contractions start versus when the babies actually start to be born? I'm not sure. I wouldn't have said much longer than 3 or 4 hours, tops. She obviously doesn't want to be vulnerable. Nature doesn't want to create a situation, doesn't work towards creating a situation where a mother is incapacitated for too long. It's so nice. She can hear everything coming. She could have stayed hidden if she wanted to. I think what she also did, if I come out now from underneath this cave, we would have had no idea there was a cave here because it's just grass. There was just grass here before. So she found herself the perfect spot. I think on days when she was really over the cubs, what she would have been, they've got little teeth and little claws pretty early on, and they squirm all over the place, and she probably got sick and tired of them sometimes. She probably went and lay up here in the Tamboti thickets, still keeping herself secret rather than lying out in the open, which is why we never found her. She would have been hiding in there. Yes. Oh, no, sorry, I got ahead of myself there with Jasper's question. Jasper wants to know if a lioness with cubs is more dangerous than a leopard with cubs. Don't know. too individual of a question. I would say that Tundi is potentially more dangerous than Purple Eye, because Purple Eye is more relaxed with people. Tundi tends to have a no-nonsense approach to disruptions to her life. Something else I wanted to show you just quickly. So I would say it really depends upon the individual, to be honest. I mean, a lion's obviously bigger, but a leopard is faster. And actually, where size is concerned, a 40-kilogram female like Tundi could quite easily take out an adult man if she was really upset. They are strong and fast, so I'm not sure I would go with that. I'm not sure I could give you a straight answer there. That is a Tambuti flower. Just in case you were ever wondering what they look like. Over the course of the next few weeks, we're going to start seeing jumping beans, which are Tambuti seeds that have been parasitized by a certain type of larva and that hop around, seemingly of their own accord. It's fascinating to witness. And that is the flower that's the prelude to it all. And what's so interesting is that the marula trees have been flowering, the tambutis have been flowering, the knobthorns have been flowering. But what's fascinating to me is that this process started much later than it did in Hoedspruit. And yet, Hoedspruit's had less rain. I wonder why that is. Wonder why it started earlier in Hoedspruit. The tambutis are done flowering in Hoedspruit, so are the knobthorns. Yet here they've only just started. I would have expected it to be the other way around. We've definitely had more rain than they've had in Hoedspruit. But yeah, just in case you were ever wondering what Tambuti flowers look like. Okay. I'm going to go and follow up now with the little leopard that we're tracking. While we do that, I'm going to send you across to Lauren, who continues her search for the lions.